Disciplined stoners.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness.
Welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan, not joined by Winnie today, but I am joined by my man, Cole of Chillinois podcast, who is one of the chillest bros, dopest voices in the cannabis podcast industries that I've come across. He's had some legendary episodes, and let's hope this is one of them. He's wearing my favorite shirt that exists in the cannabis industry. Get your joints up, light up your edibles, and do all those cannabis materials for my man, Cole.
Hey guys, thank you, Ellevan, for inviting me on the show. I am sad when he can't be here today, but I'm so excited to be on the Disciplined Stoners podcast.
Hey, thanks, brother. Thank you for joining us. We were just chatting a little bit before the show, and I was talking about your like awesome kind of comedic approach to how you share information. So yeah, why don't you, for those of you that don't know what the Chillinois podcast is about, do you want to give us a little breakdown of like kind of like what you're about and stuff and that, just so people know?
Yeah. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to say that. So yeah, we're the Chillinois podcast. You can find us on all streaming platforms, or if you just go to chillinois.net/podcast, that's probably the best way to get there, because you can pick your preferred streaming platform from that page and bounce to our podcast. We talk mainly, about the cannabis industry, a lot of focus on the Illinois cannabis industry because we just legalized the sale of adult use cannabis in our state recently. So we talk a lot about that, but like, I'm not limited to those topics. Like, I don't limit myself to just cannabis. I mean, I will say that we've mostly focused on that. However, we have musicians on the show, comedians on the show. I think music and comedy go well with cannabis. That's one of the reasons I ended up connecting with you, because I like a lot of the work you did. Ended up finding out you did awesome stuff with Winnie and fell in love with your guys' show.
Thanks for that.
So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, we talk about anything and everything, drugs, life. And like I said, we've had a huge focus on cannabis, but I hope one day that I hope that one day we kind of win this battle where it's like, this isn't as much of a conversation anymore, so that we can just start to talk about other things, right?
I so feel you, bro. And I was feeling it when you said about music and stand-up, because I've done both. And the culture, everywhere you go, you find good people in these other cultures who are like the stoners. And you're right, even at these weed events, we're not there talking about sativa and choreophyllene and all this stuff and having to fight for our legal rights and stuff like that, and the liberation that comes along with the plant. These cannabis events are just good food, good music, good company, and like it's just a vibe. So yeah, everywhere you go, you seem to find really good energy around those who interact with the plant. So I love that. You have such a wonderful grounded energy for that. So I could see you being a great center point for that voice once, that, because you're curating, once all that stuff. So what's been the situation in Chicago, Illinois? Like, I heard that there's been some battling. I love your social media approach where you kind of make fun of it and share the bad news in a kind of candid way.
Yeah. Well, like, I guess the best way of putting it is that like the cannabis industry is very controlled in Illinois. So like Chicago, you asked about Chicago. Chicago is the third most populous state in the United States, right? Like per capita, I believe we've got like it's the third largest city in the United States, right?
It's one of the biggest, largest cities, in the States.
Yeah. And so with that said, you'd think that there would be you'd think there'd be a lot of like weed producers there, and that like everybody would have a chance. Yeah. And I mean, as it stands now, there's like 17 to 18 licensed cultivators that are currently growing, and they've 21 cultivation centers. There were 40 licenses that were just released to like quote unquote social equity candidates, which is great. We actually talked to a few on our show.
Well, that's great. Tell me about that, though. The social equity candidates, like that means that people who have been involved with the cultivation of cannabis before the legalization, or what does that mean?
There's like a criteria in which you become like you to be eligible to apply under that status, I think is the proper way to say it.
Right.
I do want to say for folks that are listening that like I am just a stoner trying to figure all this stuff out and share this information so that other people understand it. Like I am not a lawyer or anything like that. So
we're
what
learning
I'm sharing
together.
We're
all learning together.
So the social equity status though, like you could be one of those if you had a drug charge. So in other words, if you were a victim of the war on drugs,
Wow.
if you lived in an area that had a history of like heavy enforcement or like being really affected by the war on drugs.
No, that's incredible because in Canada, you see a bunch of rich white people show up and fucking start this party. And you're like, really? 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 Yeah.
Yeah. But see, the thing is,
sorry, not
like
to
you
make
say
it about race, but it's very obvious that capitalism has favored a few and the war on drugs and other things has targeted a few. And
yeah,
we're just trying to recover from that. I dig that.
no, but you say it's not about race, but it kind of is, and it is, and it isn't.
It is.
It is, yeah, because minorities have disproportionately been affected by the war on drugs. In other words, they were more affected than like maybe whites, for example. Right?
I love that about you, bro. I clocked that about you early on when we were chatting. We did a roundtable. And you just remind me of another white bro who can understand the privilege. And that's just, it is what it is. It's not like you don't have opportunities past that. You can't build your own fate, but especially in the cannabis industry, it's very clear. And yeah, the business. So that's fucking cool that Chicago's even thinking like that.
Well, they say they're thinking like that. Like I said, it's yet to be seen. Only 40 people have those licenses and they're great people. But the point is like, again, Illinois is a pretty big state. Chicago's the third largest city in the country. So you'd think that more than 40 people would get licenses because at this point, then it would be like 57 people because I mentioned there were 17 earlier. So 57 people and they were going to issue 60 more. So that would have put it at almost 100. But still, you look at a state like Colorado, for example, that has like 1,000 cultivators, right? And we're talking like not even 100. So
the ratio's way off. Like,
yeah, and what we've been trying to say is that here's the thing: like in Illinois, it's not like you can just be like, I want to open a dispensary today, or I want to start growing weed. Like you can't do that. Like they're not even accepting applications right now. But in Oklahoma, no, they're not accepting applications right now. Like they will be in the future and everything, but
to become
everything's
an LP,
kind of
to become a licensed producer, to become like the grower.
Yeah,
the
you
farmer.
can't just like do that.
What's
but
personal consumption?
What do you mean?
How many plants can you grow in your house?
That's the other thing. Only medical cannabis patients can grow in Illinois.
Oh,
so yeah.
So they're traffic people. That's weird. In Oklahoma, though, you were saying you can do whatever you want?
Basically, so like right now I could go online and for like $5,000 I could buy a license and I could go and if I had the facility, I could start operating. And that's like how it should be, right? Like you just like if you wanted to open up a business. Exactly.
It's like, do you want to grow spices? Do you want to be a barbecue joint? Can you raise your own cattle to barbecue your own fucking stuff? Yeah.
And with that said, there are folks that continue to get arrested because they're trying to participate in the industry. But again, they don't really have an opportunity. So they're getting arrested for selling cannabis, which like, I think you and I can both agree that if you're going to sell cannabis, you should be like subject to consumer safety standards and, have it tested or whatever. I think that's agreeable. These people aren't doing that. But again, they're not being offered the opportunity to do that. And the fucked up thing is they're being charged with a criminal charge
it's not a criminal offense. Like
it should be a business offense if you think about it, because like, for example, if I started selling liquor without a liquor license, like of course, if I sold it to minors, that would be a criminal offense. But if I
Right.
sold it to like if you came in and you proved and showed your ID, like at that point, it's a business offense because I'm operating a business without a liquor license.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, is cannabis really legal in Illinois? We've been arguing no. We've had defense attorneys on. If people are interested, we've done 2 episodes with Evan Bruno, and he is a defense attorney. He is much more informed than I am and very familiar with the law. And we go through, in the 2 conversations I had with him, multiple instances in which we argued that cannabis, you can't consider it legal if you can't grow it.
So someone's against it. Like just someone is currently against it. That's what I find. Like there's agendas everywhere. And
Oh yeah,
okay.
we just had somebody on that's against it. There's literally an organization called Smart Approaches to Marijuana. They're one of the largest anti-cannabis lobbying groups in the United States, and we just had them on our show.
Good for you, man. That's huge.
And we're going to have them on again. And, we disagree on things, but I think what's important is that we're talking.
Yes.
They don't come on, like I've not seen them on any show like mine.
Bro.
And so I think, I'm looking forward to having some more conversations with somebody that I don't agree with.
I give you so much love and kudos for that, bro, because right now, especially in a couple other heated debates, that's all that matters, really. I've had friends unfriend friends. I've had relationships with communities and businesses just dissolve because of the heated conversation about a certain health choice that people are making or not making. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what side you're on. You like weed, you don't like weed, XY, XY. And at the end of the day, we're all going to feel a lot better if we got through this without attacking each other and being able to learn from someone's perspective and be like, well, that's where they're coming from. I don't live my life that way because my circumstances and the beautiful cataclysmic swirling of the universe that is my life experience led me to a different point in understanding. I believe if this person understood what I understood or had my experiences leading up to this or positioned themselves in their life to receive information a certain way, I believe if they went through what I went through, they would believe exactly what I believe. And the way that consciousness manifested as this person and they have a different set of rules or agendas or something was instilled in them, they had that experience, that's where they're at. And it's like kicking a baby. If you don't agree with someone and you just attack them, it's like, so what? Like, that's like, if you're out in public and someone's just completely a different style than you, do you go up and start yelling at them? Like, no, just let them be.
And what you can often find, actually, and this is what I found, like, look, there were certain things that we just agreed to disagree on, and I moved on, and look, we'll revisit it or whatever. But the point is, there were certain things where I was like, look, I see where you're coming from. Maybe we still don't agree, but I'm starting to see where you're coming from. And they were like, I'm starting to see where you're coming from. So it's like, if we can get closer to reaching a middle ground instead of these distilled binary positions, like one or the other, like oftentimes the truth is somewhere in the middle. So like, let's try to meet there.
I think the truth is absolutely everything, because the truth is the reality that you decide to focus on in any minute. Like someone's reality, like what dimension they're in, is the current set of rules / limitations that they perceive around them. But that's just your reality that you've created for yourself. So it's very exciting when we start to, as you said, like kind of baby step towards the center and find that shared truth and that, oh, okay, well, this is where our wires got crossed, but we can see eye to eye on this, right? And sometimes those things are heartbreaking. In another conversation about personal health, it's like I get my heart broken sometimes because my expectation that everyone has taken it upon themselves to lead a structured, healthy lifestyle because of the really intense aggression that I experience when I'm not working out, when I'm not eating healthy, that these things I did for my own mental health, but they ended up making me more resilient and healthy. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you have landed on that result? And then they're like, I don't prioritize it. And then I'm like, oh, that hurts me so much for you. I realized that's why I feel the same way about weed. Is like,
Yeah.
you're actually angry because I'm at peace. Are you fucked in the head? Like, you think that relaxing is lazy. That's what you've labeled that. I think that being anxious and over problematic is irresponsible. Like, how can we ever agree on which side of life is better to be on? People who don't smoke weed, their main vice most of the time is alcohol. And I don't diss anything. Have a sip whenever you want to have a sip, but is it a habit? Does it make you happy? You know what I mean? Like, what's the goal in
Right.
life? Peace, happiness? I don't know. So kudos to you for having those things. It's hard not to react.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, it's too easy to just argue. And so it was interesting to sit and try to listen, and still like remain true to my principles at a certain point, but not tarnish. There's no reason to be like, you're a fucking idiot, and like make somebody feel bad, like you said, like attack somebody and ruin a potential relationship that could be fruitful for the both of you. You could learn from each other. And
You
so
can make money together.
yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but uh I like the idea. I
No,
don't know.
because if you attract both sides, you can reach a more general audience.
That's actually a good point.
That's me and Winnie's trick.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think one thing, I've not released it yet. Maybe by the time you've released this, it has been released. But I think that's one thing that that I'm anticipating feedback on. People are going to be like, they're going to be mad that I wasn't like militant and like took the person on everything they said. And it's like, that wasn't really the point of this first conversation. It was to have a conversation and to listen to their perspective. Because like you say, I'd like to think that they didn't just wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to be an asshole and try to make weed illegal. So that like they probably had really real and rough experiences with cannabis.
Or it was
And
proposed to them that way.
Or exactly. And through that lens, there's so many other things, there's so many things that could have happened, but that's the point. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I used to
Right?
be against weed. Have you?
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? Like, when did you start
Yeah.
smoking weed? Yeah.
I was against it. I started smoking. I think I smoked the first time in like 8th grade. So, but yeah, before that, I was like, even like, especially the year before that, I was, because they like really, I had always had like drug education. Like I was a dare kid, if you will. Like I
Oh
had
my
that
God.
dare education or whatever.
Fucking.
So, but like they kind of made like it, like I remember there being like a sense of awareness when I was in 7th grade, like, oh, drugs, don't do them.
Do
That
you know
type
what's
of
sick
thing.
about that, bro? That's fucking indoctrinating.
Yeah. Well, that's just it, because that's the thing I noticed when I did smoke cannabis. Like it was like, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. And then it made me wonder. I was like, so if they're lying to me about,
Yeah. Hello. Ooh.
path, I think, to put a child on, everything you've told them, if all of that is true.
Sorry.
Oh.
It cut out just for a minute there, but now we're back. You were about to say, if they lied to me about that, and I totally connect on what you're saying. But can you say that again from there?
Yeah. If they lied to me about that, like what else did they lie to me about? And that's a really dangerous path to put a child on, I think, because you know what I mean? Like you start to question everything you've ever been told.
That's
And
a
like
great
maybe
path. It's a
no,
mistake that they make to free us from the constructs of everything else.
you make a great point in that, but I guess what I'm saying is like, what I'm trying to say is that I actually do think my like parents and some of the people that they were raising me, they had some valid points and they had some negative points.
I think that there's
Right.
valid points in absolutely everything. Like, other than pedophilia, there's valid points
Yeah.
everywhere, like, or rape, of any sort. But in literally everything, every criminal case, every violent act, there's valid points. But how much do you assign your entire identity to these, as you said, stone or uh, the harsh, rigid points? Like, yeah, fuck those, because like you you have to just have two sides to every story, or else it's not in this dimension. Dimension means at least 2 points of view on one thing. You're literally making this thing real by disagreeing about that. So you're doing your whole job in consciousness. Sorry to interject there. I just love what you're saying.
No, it was good actually. At first, I didn't understand what you were saying, but like, I get what you're saying now.
I know I'm an
You know what I mean?
abstract talker. I'm used to doing this in rhyme, dude.
No, I like the way you think. It's obvious to me, and don't take this the wrong way, that you indulge in psilocybin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
Just the way that you think is, I can tell you're very introspective.
Thanks, bro. I definitely have benefited from many hours with the Zoomies and many hours in principal's office. They used to just lock me in the cage, dude. As soon as I'd walk into some classrooms, they'd be like, "Yo, Evan, you can leave if you want. Like, you're just gonna disrupt the class." And I was like, "Word, thanks." And I'd walk around the hallways in the school until the principal ran into me and took me to the office. And I just used to sit there and fucking think. It was cool. It was better than being in a classroom, honestly, for most times. But then when I was in the
Oh, yeah.
classroom, it was like fucking performance central. Oh, I don't blame the teachers. I wouldn't want me in that motherfucker either. I don't know how I started talking about that shit. Oh, because mushrooms. Yeah, so mushrooms and that. Do you experiment with mushrooms? And how were you in school?
I think I was good in school. I plead the fifth on the no, I'm joking. I've tried shrooms a few times. They're
Nice.
pretty awesome.
Well, I
They're
mean,
pretty
yeah,
awesome.
if you can tell, then you know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
Sorry to call
No,
you
it's
out.
all good.
We have
It's all good.
We have actually a supporter of the show called Alchemy Gold, and we've talked about the experience with their mushroom chocolate bars in the past. And I dropped my joint in my fucking cappuccino.
Is psilocybin legal in Canada?
Not quite.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was just
but
asking.
but it's an amazing brand, and I stand by them, and I don't care what side of the law that they're on.
I hear you. There's brands like that in Illinois too. So
it's called the legacy market.
right. Yeah, no, I hear you.
In the cannabis industry, we call it the legacy market, because there's still delivery services here in Toronto too, and sometimes you get actually better weed. It's not erudited, because in order for the weed to go through that process of being verified, I fucked up my joint. Gotta roll another one. Oops. And I'll add shatter to this one.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes to go through that process, it kind of dries up the weed, but it still holds its quality. Like, shout out people putting out great cannabis.
Process?
There's like to avoid mold. So
yeah, okay.
When you get weed, it dries it out. So when you get weed, it's essentially beef jerky of weed. It's like, that's the legal weed in Canada, really. You get like a super dried out bud, whereas usually when you get your homie Ernesto to pull up with the fat sack and you toss him $100 or $2, that shit is like fresh. So it's dense. Like, it's dense. Like,
yeah, like the shit I'm smoking on.
Yeah, me too, bro.
Hell yeah, good
Look
shit.
at that shit, bro. Come on,
Fuck yeah,
huge bud. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh,
Look
so sticky. Dude,
yeah.
For those of you just listening on audio, he literally turned the jar upside down and it didn't fucking budge. That's what we're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude.
Hell yeah. But yeah.
Zoomies in school?
No, I've never done Zoomies in school.
Oh no, me neither. But how were you in school?
Oh, okay. I think I was good in school. Looking back on it though, and I've tried to go to school after, in college. I've tried to go to college and stuff. I definitely have I don't know. I've got a problem with the way that it's all set up usually.
Yes.
you know, but I feel like I'm an okay student. Like I can figure it out. I just get really, really frustrated and emotional while I'm in the classroom because like I just don't feel like it's set up. Like
I'm with you on this, dude.
it's tough. Like it's tough because I don't want to pretend I have all the answers because like I've been in a situation where you have to present something and sometimes it's difficult to have somebody like asking questions every fucking 5 minutes. You know, you kind of want to just get through your lecture and then take questions. But
Oh, for
at the
sure.
same time, I don't know, like it's all about how like I've had good teachers, that's the thing. And you know a fucking good teacher when you have one.
I've had
And
one.
yeah, I've had a few. It's not like I've had a lot. But
No,
the thing is I never forget those teachers, you know, and
I look for teachers in the everyman. If somebody like, triggers you, that's your teacher. If somebody, like in life, there's teachers, there's people,
hell yeah.
who are teaching you something. Quite literally, they could be like, hey, read this great book. And they're suggesting, good education upon you. But like that format of like, I forget what it's called. There's different types of learning. There's like, the one person standing up against the rest of them, and it's like a hierarchy. And then there's another type of learning that's more feminine, that's like sitting down in a circle, usually done with like younger kids, where everyone has a chance to share and stuff. And it's essentially, you can see how they build people in the school construct to fulfill this kind of lack of individuality, kind of 9 to 5 systematic life that like is the
Yeah.
matrix. Like they're kind of like affirming those type of personality decisions. They reward that. Like so for me, I'm just too creative. Like I think I just like challenge it. It's like when someone's like, hey, we're gonna do a project and we'll go like this, and they say the rules to everyone, and I'm like, that's cool. I don't believe we should measure it that way. I'm gonna do it like this. And like I was at school physically, but I was never really at school. Like I was just like in my own world. So that sounds like you have a not exactly
I
the
definitely
same, but
no,
like,
no, that was a really good way of putting
oh, sick.
words to my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're thinking. It's not like you're
I'm
lazy.
there, but I'm not there. Yeah.
I feel like we would have gotten along quite well in the class and probably overpowered a teacher. They would not let you and me in the same classroom because we probably would have steered it another way. And I can respect the amount of people who are at the conscious evolution where they need that. A lot of people are here to listen more and like experience what people tell them to do. But like if you're a kid or a human being that has their own ideology of fulfillment for their life, like we may, because we're actually giving thought to things and considering the options before these choices are presented to us, then it's like, what's the structure for teaching those kids? Like how do you help those kids, like for real, like accepting them, not shaming us because we're wrong and forcing us to drop out, but how can you really cradle and channel that talent? Because like, yeah, your thoughts are just pure talent, bro. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's but yeah, I didn't like school really. That's my big takeaway. I've never been I have nightmares about school still to this day. No joke. Like I'll be in my dream, I'll be in like class and the teacher will like bring a test by and they'll like put it on my desk. This is a recurring nightmare.
Oh my
And
God.
like I'm like looking through it and everybody else is just like like going through it like confidently. And I'm like looking through it. I'm like, did I fucking miss something? Like I've been here. Like I've been I don't know why, but in my head, I'm like, I've been coming to class. What am I missing? What am I missing? Like I can't think of the answers to any of this shit. And
Dude.
then I just get so frustrated because I'm sitting here with a test that I have none of the answers to.
Brother, can I share something with you?
Sure.
I used to analyze dreams when I was like a teenager, when I was developing my intuitive sense. A little mystic, if you ask your average person, but it is a craft. So I just Googled it on dream moods. I failed the test. Taking an exam in your dreams implies that you are being put to the test or being scrutinized in some area of your waking life. As with most common dream themes, dreams about taking a test have to do with anxiety. In such dreams, you may find that you cannot answer any of the questions on the test, that the test is in some foreign language, or that your pencil keeps breaking during the test. Like you were saying, like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Perhaps time is running out and you cannot complete the exam in the allowed time. I remember I had this dream before when I was in school. Or perhaps you arrived late and missed the exam altogether. These factors all result in you failing the dream test. Taking a test implies being unprepared. To dream that you are taking a test suggests that you feel unprepared for some challenge in your waking life. But you are taking on the fucking cannabis, and it's pretty good. You may be harboring some guilt because you did not prepare enough for school exam, meeting, business pros, or some project. Perhaps you have been procrastinating on a task and waited until the last minute to cram it all in.
Yeah, I procrastinate on everything. That's what I do, baby.
Sort of put you on blast like that in your dream definition, but like, you know, these things you're like, you know, 80-20 miss hit or hit miss. But like,
No,
yo,
yeah.
it's just about anxiety then, pretty much.
I'm a very anxious all the time, so that would make sense. I'm no joke, you know, very anxious.
But then weed is so helpful for that.
Actually, yes, in certain cases it is. In other
Not
cases,
sativa.
yeah, but you know what, like, not, I hate being the bro that quotes Joe Rogan or whatever, but like, I really like his little bit about like leaning into the paranoia, like it's a good thing and all that stuff.
Use it.
And yeah, no, because what I've found is that like sometimes, like, it's almost like not dream analysis, but like thought analysis. So like I get real paranoid, and then I'm like trying to figure out like, why am I freaking out? And then sometimes if I really dial in on that, excuse me, I can yeah, I can figure out what I'm actually freaking out about, and then I actually feel a lot better.
Oh,
Like a very huge sense of calm. Like I had something like that last week where I was like freaking out. I'm like sitting here like tripping. I'm like, why am I tripping? Everything's cool. Everything's fine. It's the weekend. You know, I was going through my list, and then I was like, oh, that's why I'm tripping. That's why I'm tripping.
that's
And I like was able to put
self-awareness.
my thumb on it and be like, that's it. Stop tripping. Like it's a little bit easier said than done. It's not like I was able to just identify and be like, stop tripping about that. But I was able to work through like, why is it in my subconscious? You know, why is it eating at me, and keep, you know, it's taking me out of the now. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a practice. That's like part of what we would call on the podcast, Disciplined Stoners here, the defenseman. And when you start to build that muscle that's able to interact and handle these mental threats, you're right, because they're stealing the fucking present from you. That's so
Yeah.
good. How, like, did you start being able to get in touch with finding that calm post? Obviously, post weed if you start smoking in the third grade. But how has that been to develop that? Talk about that. That's a very challenging skill to be able to have that self-awareness, dude. Congrats.
I don't, it's, I attribute it to cannabis. I'm not like totally 100% certain that it is, but it, I don't know, the best way to look at it, or the best way for me to put it, I remember having this thought like early on, and this is going to sound like such a stupid stoner thought, but like I was like sitting there smoking at this place that I always smoked at, and I was like looking at this tree. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked at this fucking tree, but for some reason that day when I was looking at that tree, I was just like really like admiring its beauty and everything that was unique about it, and like really taking it in, and it almost felt like I had never looked at it before because I was looking at it so hard.
Yes.
And I don't know how to describe it, but I just realized like, oh, this is what's pretty good about cannabis, or at least maybe the way that that's the thing, I can't put my thumb on if it's cannabis or that I just naturally think that way.
I know
But I've
exactly what you're talking about. I've had this moment, and it was within like the first year of me smoking cannabis regularly. I think it does correlate, but it's not like you could smoke one joint and get there. It's like you start interacting with reality from the perspective of the brain affected by THC. And it literally starts to show you another perspective on the exact same things that you've seen before. I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, a lot of ways cannabis can be humbling for me, and in a weird way,
Yeah.
in a way that like not a lot of people would actually enjoy. Like the thing is, like
Yeah.
I will come home and like maybe smoke and then think about all the stupid fucking things I did in the day. Like that doesn't sound healthy, does it? But it actually ends up being healthy. Like at first, it doesn't feel good. It's like,
No,
because I start thinking about like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, why would you say that? Why would you do that? And
no,
then
if
I
you
start
can
to like
remove
understand myself.
Yeah, if you can remove the judgment from it, like you were just saying, it is so valuable, dude. It's good to call yourself out on your bullshit, and it's good to have those conversations with yourself. That's how you become a better person.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I guess what my point is, that's not. I don't find that to always be the case for other people, and I just wonder, like, I hope that everybody gets there, but I do find that like some people, like they for whatever reason they don't get there, and so that's why I wonder, like, is cannabis the
Cannabis,
maybe it's part of the equation, but like maybe also part of the equation is like you have to want to be you have to want to see what it's trying to show you,
but
and I don't know how to put that. I know that sounds super hippy dippy or
no,
whatever, but
dude, you're nailing it. It's exactly what we say. It's cannabis and intention makes for good self-awareness. Cannabis just by itself, if you need an escape, it can be your escape as well, just like alcohol if you drink like every day. But if you
yeah,
want to use cannabis as a tool to go deeper and to make things better and to commit further, then it has to be that intention. You're totally right. It's not just smoke weed and become, better. It's smoke weed and have the intention to do something either for yourself. And sometimes it's just getting in there to these emotional tangles. We have tangles and they overlap, and we have confirmation bias sprinkled out through all our life because we're looking for things in a certain perspective. And cannabis just helps you go, whew, I guess
yeah,
I guess these opinions aren't me. That's so great, man. Fuck.
yeah, dude. We got deep just like I thought we would.
Yeah, I know. It's a good thing to be. I'm just rolling up this joint here again. I put some shatter in the center. Yo,
Sweet.
yeah. Do you ever do?
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is. Do you ever put shatter in there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it, man. That's a real way to do it.
Yeah, I just take like a gummy or whatever, like not like when it's all gummy kind of, and
Mhm.
stretch it out to make it a long thing and put it in the middle of the joint.
Yeah, like a snake.
Yeah, like a snake.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I can still talk, for like about 10 more minutes, but me and Justine, we're about to go get something to eat here
Fuck
soon.
yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna roll this joint up and then we're gonna do that book pull.
Sweet.
What are you guys gonna get to eat?
It's a good question. I don't know. I told her to come up with some sort of idea. I'm sure she's gonna surprise me as always.
So sweet. So she does find some good food ideas.
We try to uh take turns either preparing or choosing the idea, as best as we can.
How long have you
Because it
guys
can be
been?
tough sometimes.
Nice. Yeah,
That's a
sure.
good question. How long have we been together? I think like go 2 years or so. A little bit over
Nice.
2 years.
2 years. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So usually we force the guests to do Winnie's intro theme to fun fact, but I'm just gonna do the Dow. Do you want to do my intro song for Do the Dow?
Do the Dow, the
Mm-hmm.
intro song. Maybe. What does that require?
I'll just play a bass line with my mouth, and you just make up or repeat some words for the intro of Do the Dow. Okay.
Okay, but I gotta. What is this for?
It's just the intro segment to what we're about to do. Oh, I gotta grab a book. 1 sec.
Okay, I understood.
How's the weather where you're at right now? Is it cold?
It's cold as fuck. Chillinois. Keeping it
Chilling.
chilly.
Chilly, bro. Okay. I'm going to read from Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness. So can you please pick a number between 15 and 105?
Whoa. 42. 42.0. 420, baby.
Dude.
Blaze it. Smoke it.
Chapter 11 is
Nice.
it's actually page 43, chapter 11, but 42 is the last page of the last chapter before that. But the fact that chapter 11 was
That's pretty cool.
on that page, it was awesome. Okay, so I'll play this bass line and you can just say do the Dow or do some rhymes or whatever, but we'll start with this.
Yeah. Do the dap. Was I supposed to do it there?
Yeah, do it there.
Damn. I was doing it while you were doing the beat. Do the Dow. Are you saying do the Dow or do the dab?
Do the Dow. Oh, but I am dabbing as I do the Dow. But here we go. I'm going to read this page. If creation is finished and all events are taking place now, the question that springs naturally to the mind is, what determines your time track? That is, what determines the events which you encounter? And the answer is your concept of yourself. Concepts determine the route that the attention follows. Here is a good test to prove this fact. Assume the feeling of your wish
Is
fulfilled.
that from your book? Oh, did I lose you?
Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. You will observe that as long as you remain faithful to your assumption, so long will your attention be confronted with images clearly related to that assumption. For example, if you assume that you have a wonderful business, you will notice how in your imagination your attention is focused on incident after incident relating to that assumption. Friends congratulate you, tell you how lucky you are. Others are envious and critical. From there, your attention goes to larger offices, bigger bank balances, and many other similarly related events. Persistence in this assumption will result in actually experiencing, in fact, that which you assumed. The same is true regarding any concept. If your concept of yourself is that you are a failure, you would encounter in your imagination a whole series of incidences in conformance to that concept. Therefore, it is clearly seen how you, by your concept of yourself, determine your present. That is the particular portion of creation which you now experience. And your future, that is the particular portion of creation which you will experience.
Bro. So is that from your book?
That's not from my book. I wish. This is from, I think I was this guy in another lifetime. That's from chapter 10 of Creation. And you'll notice that his chapter 10 is as long as my chapter 10. It's one page.
Huh.
This guy's name is Neville Goddard. He's so cool. He was in the entertainment industry in like the 50s, and he talks good and very well. And I think I'm going to name my son Neville because of how much I love his work and how he teaches this stuff.
Cool. Are you expecting?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, but that's a really cool question to be asked. Whoa, the assumption. Oh,
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I know we've been together for
You're
15
obviously
years.
thinking about it.
I mean, I guess. Jeez, yeah. Whoa, that was a double compound self-awareness moment. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. You're the man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was a really good time. I would love to do it again, just let me know and
We got to
we'll
do
make
it
it-
again with the
make it
chicks.
happen. Yeah.
So this was
Well,
the dudes hanging. And then we're going to have a double date episode.
Sweet.
And love your show, man. I love what you're doing, what you're standing for, what you're about. Everyone listening to this episode, go check out Chillinois' podcast. You have great conversations. You have legendary Tommy Chong on there and a bunch of other great guests.
I was gonna say, I don't. Depending on when this airs, I mean, I plan to keep the giveaway open up through the middle of next month. So if you want to win shirt that's been signed by Tommy Chong that says Chillinois. Just go to chillinois.net/Chong. It's free to enter, free to win, and giving away shirts of all sizes so that everybody has a chance to win. So
Yes, I love it so much. And where can they find you on social media so they can see what I'm talking about, where you share news updates and it kind of pisses you off, but also makes you laugh because it's so absurd?
yeah, Chillinois podcast on Instagram, Chillinois State on Twitter, and yeah, I mean, I share what I find interesting, and sometimes I don't say anything, and that's the point. I mean, it's just to share what I find interesting. Some people get really upset and like will comment and stuff, and that's great. I love to see people's thoughts and everything, but I share it just to share it, to make sure that people are aware of what's going on. And sometimes I put my own little comedic spin on it. Like you say, I try to be funny. But yeah. So if you want to figure out, I tweet about and share about what's going on in Illinois cannabis, but also in just cannabis in the United States and the culture, and so on and so forth.
It's super informative. Like, you are one of the information plugs that I go to just to check out what's going on with American weed situations.
Yeah. And by the way, just if you want to look into it a little bit more, and I'm just interested, like, would love to talk to you about this in the future. Shame we don't have enough time. But earlier, what you were mentioning about your cannabis, the reason it's so dry, it's because it's been remediated.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. There's different ways of doing it. We went to a company that does the ozone remediation, which I think is what you were referencing. But there's also other forms of remediation, like gamma ray remediation and stuff, which is basically like putting the weed through an industrial microwave.
What?
Which I'm not saying anything's wrong, like anything is inherently wrong with that, because that technology it's used in many other agribusiness, like it's used in a lot of sectors, but it's just kind of weird that they're not more open about it is all. So anyways, though, that's a conversation for another day.
It really is. So we'll put that note in a bottle and drift it into the future. And then next time when we're on our double date Discipline Stoners Chillinois podcast, we'll bring that up first, because I'll ask Winnie and the retail people about it here, and we'll compare notes. That's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, my guy. Appreciate you. Enjoy your food. Hi to Justine. Much love, and we'll see you soon.
Yep. Take care.
Peace.
Bye.
That was so fun. Okay, guys. We'll see you soon. Stop recording. Right?
Discipline Stoners! The gateway drug to mindfulness.
Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit.